welcome. Hey, we're just a little bit late. I'm sorry. I apologize. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. I'll tell you why we're a little bit late is because we were out on the street talking to people about a number of things. And high on the list, most of all, TikTok. TikTok, can it be saved? That is a question. I went out to talk to folks. They had some very interesting things to say about it. I will give you a consensus, and really to find out, you got to tune in. You got to check out our TikTok. You have to check out social media. So here's the thing: can it be saved? And if so, who's going to save it? Is it going to be Joe Biden? Is it going to be Donald Trump? And then if it is, well, Joe Biden only has really not not even 72 hours, 48 hours, maybe a little bit longer to be president of the United States. Because on Monday, someone else, Donald Trump, becomes president of the United States, and is he going to save it? Can he save it? Can he really do an executive order? I don't really know. So this app is beloved, boomer, by just about everybody, tens of millions of Americans, and they're not happy about this going away. So is it an attack on free speech? Those are the questions that we're going to be asking and answering for you. We're going to be digging into that the first half of our show, and then we're going to talk about Democrats. Should they go to the inauguration? What is the energy that Democrats should have moving into the next 4 years? Okay, so I'm going to bring in some social media experts, so to speak, here. I had wanted to get a free speech, a First Amendment attorney on, Floyd Abrams. I've been trying to reach out to Mr. Abrams. We'll see if Mr. Abrams can jump on, if he is indeed able to, just a little bit later on. But what happens? What happens with all of this TikTok stuff? I want to bring in now, hey, Chris, can you come in? Chris is a guy who does my social media. And also joining us is Peter Rothfuss. He's my writer, and he's been doing writer/producer here on the Don Lemon Show. Uh-oh. There we go. I'm going to slide over a little bit, and he's been doing some research on it. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. Peter, thanks for joining us to talk about this. Interesting perspective. See, look at the thumbs up. That's what we need folks to do. So let's hear what the TikTok CEO said after the Supreme Court said, look, TikTok can stay, but it has to divest of its foreign ownership, which is ByteDance, its parent company. And so, but who's going to buy it? Who's going to make sure that it stays, in business if it does? Okay, so here's the TikTok CEO after the Supreme Court's decision. Here it is.
Everyone is show here. As you know, we have been fighting to protect the constitutional right to free speech for the more than 170 million Americans who use our platform every day to connect, create, discover, and achieve their dreams. On behalf of everyone at TikTok and all our users across the country, I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States. This is a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. As we've said, TikTok is a place where people can create communities, discover new interests, and express themselves, including over 7 million American businesses who earn a living and gain new customers using our platform. We are grateful and pleased to have the support of a president who truly understands our platform, one who has used TikTok to express his own thoughts and perspectives, connecting with the world and generating more than 60 billion views of his content in the process. To all American users, thank you for making our TikTok community such a rich and vibrant space, for surprising and delighting us every day. Rest assured, we will do everything in our power to ensure our platform thrives as your online home for limitless creativity and discovery, as well as a source of inspiration and joy for years to come. Thank you. More to come.
Okay, so there's a lot of talk about free speech here, right? And is it, is this some sort of prohibition or prohibiting free speech by at least getting rid of TikTok in its current iteration, or is it not? That's the question, because free speech, as we know, you get the definition of free speech. Free speech is that if the government, I'm going to do that. Hey Siri, Google free speech definition. When people talk about, what is free speech, just a definition. I just want to make sure that people know. Freedom of speech is the right to express ideas and opinions without government interference or punishment. And then it really is, when it gets down to the government, it really says the government shall create no law that impinges upon Americans or people's free speech. Well, the government is not, can you close that door, please? The government is not creating any laws. that would impinge on free speech. It's just saying that foreign ownership is problematic. And so, Peter, I want to ask you, as you have been researching this and talking about this for you and I, we did the breaking news this morning. We've been talking about it a lot. Is this a free speech issue, you believe?
It is not. And I'm afraid I'm probably going to come down on a different side of this than Chris. Much respect to Chris. But there's a reason why it was a 9-0 decision out of SCOTUS. In fact, during the questioning session, Ketanji Brown Jackson said explicitly that the lawyers for TikTok had made a grave error in trying to frame this as a First Amendment issue. To the extent there is a relevant constitutional question here, it's whether or not there's a freedom of association. The fact that, you know, TikTok and ByteDance do have a close pairing with the CCP. Literally on ByteDance's board, my understanding is that there are several board seats that are reserved for CCP members. So the idea that this was a freedom of speech issue at all is just not true. And I know that folks who love TikTok feel like it is, because TikTok does have a thriving, lovely community of creators. But TikTok's lawyers, yes, again, made a miscalculation when trying to frame the case in that way.
The DC Circuit consolidated and denied the petitions, holding that the act does not violate petitioners' First Amendment rights. That is in the actual ruling. Do you think it's a free speech issue?
I don't think it's a free speech issue.
You don't? Okay, so he's on our side. I don't either. But it says the government is saying where you can get information from. But it's not. Here's the difference. It's not saying it may be free speech, Peter or Chris, if they said it's got to go away for good. You can't have it. But they're saying TikTok has a right to exist in the United States. It's just got to get rid of its foreign owners.
Yeah, they're never going to give it up. That algorithm is gold. There's no platform like it, and they, in my opinion, are never going to give the application up to an American owner.
You don't think ByteDance is going to give that up?
Absolutely not. No.
Why not?
The algorithm itself, it is
too valuable.
Gold. It's too valuable, and they do not want anyone to know how that algorithm works. That's my take on the matter.
And that is proprietary. They don't have to sell the algorithm. If they're doing, they're basically just selling the name, right? Correct. If
the brand, exactly. Which is why, and that to me is telling, because they would just be selling the brand, they would just be selling the name, and then another ByteDance-backed entity could use that same algorithm to create another app. And so that to me suggests that there is some ulterior motive here. The CCP does have some reason for wanting it to exist, TikTok to exist as it does in America right now. Keep in mind, TikTok, at least the American version of TikTok, does not operate within mainland China, which again, I think is curious. Yeah. And like, let me say one last thing. I don't believe anyone, or at least any elected lawmaker in this country, would think it's okay for the CCP to have an editorial board seat or multiple editorial board seats at the New York Times. You would be laughed out of the room if you proposed that. And yet TikTok arguably is an even bigger information sharing institution than the New York Times. And yet you have this massive foreign influence.
Well, Peter, the difference is too, I mean, there's also a big difference because on TikTok, everyone can actually share information, right? Immediately.
Fair enough.
Right. Yeah. And at least in the New York Times, unless you're writing a letter to the editor or if you're doing an editorial, most people don't have a voice, right? It's just a one-way thing. The writers are writing, but they are getting information from people that can influence the culture, policy, foreign affairs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so there's disagreement from a lot of folks, including the people in Washington. And I'm not sure, do you think this falls along party lines? I'm not sure. Let's look at some of the folks who are some of the senators who are offering their differing opinions.
Senator, your reaction to the TikTok ruling?
Disappointment. I do believe that banning a social media app like TikTok is a violation of the First Amendment.
The best way for TikTok to continue to exist is for it to be sold, which the law explicitly allows for. Why you ban it is controlled by Beijing. So if it were sold or firewalled, that would be fine.
The TikTok ban is fully and fairly constitutional. TikTok should not be banned. It should be sold. China should not own it, but it should continue to exist in this country.
Rare Josh Hawley win.
You think it's Josh Hawley? You think he wins?
Just it's a good take from Hawley for once.
Well, I think the best take for me, because look, I think the government probably knows a lot that we don't know. But I kind of feel similar to what Senator Ed Markey says about, it's time to pump the brakes on the ban. Maybe we need to study it a little bit more. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't go away, but it just seems like to me, it came awfully quick. Maybe I haven't been on TikTok long enough, less than a year, I think. But here's Senator Ed Markey, what he has to say, and I kind of agree with it. Watch.
As we're debating, TikTok users are flocking to a Chinese app with no reported presence in the United States. That's what's happening in our country right now. So it's time to take a breath, try to step back, buy some time, try to figure this out rationally, but in no way should we have TikTok go dark on Sunday. It would be catastrophic for just so many small businesses, so many creators, so many communities that have been created with no alternative available to them.
Peter, you disagree?
Well, it's not that I disagree per se. I do think there's going to be real world hurt, and there are going to be creators and there are going to be communities that are going to be harmed by this forced sale and or ban, however you want to put it. It's the hypocrisy from Markey that is ridiculous to me. Keep in mind, Ed Markey, he loves to fancy himself. He loves to cosplay as some lefty progressive. Ed Markey voted for this forced sale. Okay. And what's happening now is Markey is seeing the mass hysteria on social media. He realizes that there is some short-term political gain, for putting on airs and masquerading as this wannabe savior of TikTok, when in reality, he and many other lawmakers like him realize they remember back in March of last year when TikTok had a concerted effort to push their users to call U.S. lawmakers and in some cases issued bomb threats.
Yep.
Threatening them to not vote for this bill. He and so many other electeds are fully aware that this is a sword of Damocles hanging over the heads of everyone in America, very specifically American electeds. And Markey and those like him who think that they can get some progressive bona fides, again, in the short term by being pro-sword, it is galling to me. It disgusts me.
Well, I agree with him. Look, I understand that. It reminds me of the cable news contributors who they'll give an opinion before, and then they'll go on social media and see like, oh my gosh, everybody on Twitter is a certain way, and it's my demographic that usually likes me, and I can't be hated or canceled. So I'm going to say something that I don't actually believe. But whether he believes it or not, I think it's true. I think they need to wait a little bit to see what's up, and then possibly move forward with it. Because I think, look, maybe our lawmakers have been dealing with it for a long time, the government, the Supreme Court, but I don't think the general population, the general public have been engaged, I should say, on this issue. And I think we need to give them a little time to catch up and then make a decision. I'm not sure that'll influence anything the Supreme Court does, because they are going by the laws of the land, right? What the law states. And they're saying it doesn't violate any First Amendment rights. It has the right to exist, but just it has to divest of its foreign ownership. Now, we all know folks who tried to buy foreign newspapers, right?
Yeah.
Foreign entities in this country recently, right? The Telegraph, if you know what I mean. And they said, no, too much foreign influence, and they shot it down.
Yeah. Again, there's no way we would ever allow a CCP board member at the New York Times. So it seems silly to me that TikTok is an exception.
But yet and still, people really don't care, right? We were out talking to folks today, right? We were like, what about information? What do they say?
People don't care. They don't really care. They enjoy the app. People make so much money off of it. A lot of people make their earnings off the app, including myself and my own media agency. So obviously I understand the security concerns. I also use Instagram. I've used X. I'm on Blue Sky now. And a lot of these apps are doing very similar things. They're just obviously not based in China or have that background. But I'm worried right now. Me and tens of thousands of people, just even at the TikTok app that work in America, are worried about what comes next. So This is the craziest thing I'll probably ever say on camera, but I think Trump is going to be the savior of the day. I think that he is going to come, and Biden had an easy win that he could have had going out of his own presidency, and Trump is going to have an easy alley-oop from Biden, and I think that he's going to be the savior on day one of his presidency.
Yeah, but can Donald Trump do an executive order and overturn, the Supreme Court, the law of the land? I'm not so sure he can do that.
What he can do, he has a few. Yeah, he has a few tools at his disposal. He could, one, issue an executive order, theoretically, pushing the ban off, say, 60, 90, 120 days, and then work with voices who have been tossed around like Kevin O'Leary or maybe Elon Musk to try and broker some type of deal with ByteDance. That's one option. There's another possibility that I've heard bandied about that I find a bit far-fetched, but maybe it could happen, where my understanding is technically the president can decide whether or not a quote-unquote divestiture has taken place. So if, I don't know, ByteDance does some type of concession and doesn't fully sell the app, but I don't know, maybe enter into a partnership with someone like Musk, then Trump can just say, I'm satisfied, and there has been a divestiture, and thereby the ban the forced sale is done with.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if that does happen, let's just say someone steps in quickly on the American side, and they buy it. I don't think they're going to have the same algorithm.
No.
And if you update your TikTok, is it going to be an update? Are you going to have to delete the app and then go back in and then re-download it, or is it going to continue to work because it's going to be a completely different algorithm unless the Chinese folks come around and say, okay, whoever it is, you said Elon Musk or Kevin O'Leary or whoever it is, a conglomeration of people, if they say, okay, fine, you can have all of it, then that's an entirely different story. Then it will probably stay the same. But can you trust that? I don't believe that they're going to I agree with you, giving up that algorithm, because it's also Red Note, which is on a very similar algorithm. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be too much information that they're giving to an outside entity that the Chinese would rather keep for themselves. And speaking of, I want to play this. This is an MSNBC breakdown of young people fleeing to other Chinese apps. And more specifically, or at the top of the list, is Red Note, which is the Chinese version of TikTok. Here it is.
The ban looms for TikTok. We should note the apps that are surging as possible replacements on the App Store. Well, similar concerns perhaps will be held. The two biggest are both Chinese-backed apps. One, its name literally translates to Little Red Book, i.e. Chairman Mao's Little Red Book. It is an Instagram-esque video application. Mm-hmm. And the other is called Lemon 8, a similar app that's also owned by ByteDance, the same company that owns TikTok, with the connections to the Chinese Communist Party. So the replacements that Americans are considering in the wake of this TikTok ban have the same problematic issues.
There hasn't been any evidence up to date that the Chinese state has decided to use TikTok to attack America or divide America. But what's one of America's weaknesses? One of America's weaknesses is that everybody is siloed. We're in rage bubbles. We don't like each other in the country. And if you can't beat America militarily, or you can't beat it economically, communication mediums are an incredibly powerful tool. Ask any regime throughout history, right? If you control communication, you can do an awful lot of damage to your adversaries. What's to say that it's not just the data they're accumulating, but it becomes a two-way street, and that's used to increase those divisions and weaknesses that already exist in American society. If you're going to cite national security as a reason to put tariffs on Canada and Mexico, but you don't think there's a national security concern with giving access to China to have one of the most powerful communication tools in American media, that seems a little bit of a disconnect.
Okay, so I think that, look, that's a very good, you have to have the same rules, right, for everyone. By the way, producers, I sent so a couple of folks who we just finished speaking to, like an hour ago, maybe?
Hour or less,
not even an hour or less ago, out in New York City, as they were talking about TikTok. Look, I think what was interesting to me is, like, a lot of young people, college-age people we spoke with, said they were kind of happy that they were getting rid of it because it was solving a problem that they had, and that is that they're addicted to the TikTok. They think the algorithm is it's like candy. They say they can't stop using it, and they believe it's all in the algorithm. So that's why we say they're never going to give up that algorithm, because it's just too addictive, and they do that on purpose. And that is a reason, I know, Peter, we talk about algorithms of social media. We've talked about this before, whether you can suppress something or amplify it. It is reportedly these algorithms are the people at these social media companies who program these algorithms. They do it they purposely program people to outrage, to anger them.
Absolutely.
Controversy is programmed at the top of the algorithm. And so whatever it is that TikTok has, it is causing people to be addicts to this social media. It just keeps them dead scrolling all day and all night.
No, I'm going to blank on the lawmaker who said this. It may have been even an advisor to Trump a few years ago, but they described it as "quote unquote" digital fentanyl, TikTok's algorithm, immensely addictive. And I say this as someone who's on TikTok, who's used and enjoyed TikTok. It's a great app. And to pivot slightly, Don, you and I were chatting about this earlier today. I think that Democrats, but really all lawmakers who are anti-TikTok, made a grave miscalculation when trying to message this forced sale to the American people. They never should have led with it's a data issue. It's the fact that ByteDance and by extension the CCP is Pac-Manning up all of your data. And don't get me wrong, there are real concerns there. However, Americans know that every single tech company in this country is eating up their data. We have no sense of privacy anymore. We know that Facebook, Meta, Twitter, what have you, all of them are eating our data. And I think it was a terrible decision to lead with that argument. What lawmakers should have led with was the idea that you can't have a foreign power exerting influence over the dominant decider in what the national conversation is every single day. Don, I explained to you earlier that I think the situation in Gaza is horrific, and I think it's a topic for another show. But
no. Let's talk about the influence. You think that it's not a topic for? I think it's a topic for this show. Obviously, the past year or so, if not more, our elections. A lot of what's in our social and political zeitgeist, that has been influenced very heavily by social media, including the war over in Gaza.
Absolutely. And I do wonder why that conflict, which is, again, horrific, has been so pushed seemingly by TikTok. Whereas, say, for example, I think if you go up to your run-of-the-mill Zoomer and ask them about the conflict currently going on in Sudan, they would look at you like a deer in headlights. They have no idea what you're talking about. And I think that's because Gaza is a conflict that puts the U.S. government in an extremely harsh light, whereas Sudan does not. And so I do wonder why one conflict has become sort of the dominant narrative. Perhaps rightfully so. I would say rightfully so. But these other conflicts that have huge humanitarian costs, thousands of people are dying, millions have been displaced, and nobody talks about it.
Well, what about all the protests? We cover the protests. What about all the protests across college campuses? TikTok is
absolutely
very intentional with that.
Absolutely. No doubt. I completely agree.
Did we have something, Kristen Gillibrand, speaking about that, or no?
I couldn't find her, unfortunately. She was on MSNBC right before we jumped on the air, and she said, I just I somewhat plagiarized her. I parroted her remarks, which were pretty much what I just said, that we should wonder why there's been such a coarsening of American discourse, why the zeitgeist has been so vitriolic recently. And I do think it's fair to at least wonder if TikTok has something to do with it. If it's the chief information sharing app for folks, under the age of 40, I think, in this country?
It is, yeah. Okay, some of the folks we spoke to earlier, just less than an hour ago, here it is.
Clearly hope President Trump issues an executive order to maintain it. I think it's essential for the American people. I think it is in line with the First Amendment, and that the American people deserve that access to free speech. And I also know, and I saw the video of the TikTok CEO this morning where he was stating that around 7 million small businesses make money on TikTok. So I think it's really important. What do you think?
You're not even on it.
I'm not on it just because I think it's bad for my attention span. But for American people, I think they should have the right to choose. I think that's what this country stands on.
You think someone here is going to buy it, and if they do, I don't know if China's going to sell them the algorithm. Sure. It may not be the same. That algorithm is what makes it addictive.
Right. No, that's true. I hope someone buys it, but I have faith in President Trump that he'll be able to negotiate something with the current CEO and the current team, and I really hope it'll be a good thing for the American people.
You saw the CEO video. He said he wanted to thank President Trump, right?
That's right, yeah. I think President Trump, I'm excited for him to be inaugurated on Monday, and I think he'll stand up for the rights of the American people to free speech.
Okay, and let's listen. Well, one more. Let's listen to the other one. We'll get them both out of the way. Are you on TikTok as well?
I just scroll on TikTok. I don't actually actively post or use TikTok, but I scroll on there, yeah.
Are you feeling any kind of way about it being banned?
Honestly, I am upset that it's getting banned, but I really love the Gen Z reaction to the ban by getting Red Note. I also did get Red Note as soon as I found out about it, and it's virtually the same thing as TikTok.
Yeah, I tried to go on. I was like, I don't know what I'm reading, and I read the terms of service.
True. Like, I don't know anything. I'm just like checking. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. The plus is pose, the heart is like, you know, know. But it's definitely interesting seeing the cultures coming together. How even other people from other countries are getting Red Note and like solidarity to Americans, which I feel like is kind of cool too. But yeah, disappointed that TikTok is going. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's kind of interesting. Two things. Okay, so you have one person there is like, I hope President Trump steps in because it's important to people, but I understand the issues. And then the other person's like, look, I'm just going to go on the other app, and I'm not even reading the terms of service because they could be. Is it in Chinese? Or I don't know. And she's like, I just hit. Yeah, no one reads the terms of service. So what are we giving away when we press OK on those terms of service? And guess what? Most people don't care because they believe they have our information anyways, and it doesn't matter to them that it's a foreign entity. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Were you surprised when you heard folks say, I don't care?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, listen, I think a lot of these people are cappers, aka they are not telling you the full truth, because TikTok has this feel, especially to the younger kids. You talk to an 18-year-old, where it's lame per se, especially to, I would say, males. So I think sometimes you're not getting the full truth on that matter. Those kids use TikTok every single day. I promise you that. But
that young lady that we spoke to, the last one there on the thing. Sorry, I'm moving our TikTok camera back so they can see Chris. The last young lady, she and her roommate, right? Mm-hmm. They came over from their dorm because they what?
I was live streaming you on TikTok, and she said she ran over. We were on live for 15 minutes max.
Yeah.
And they ran over from that. So it tells you how much influence, because we did that on Instagram. I don't think we're going to get that same response if you're live streaming.
So, Chris was going, when we went around the country, I think this is a good time to tell the stories. When we started going around the country to these battleground states, just to talk to people, just simple, plain and simple man on the street. Peter, I know that the team was kind of surprised at first by some of the responses. And then I said, I promise you guys, I'm not curating this stuff. This is exactly what's happening. And a lot of that stuff was being reflected on the people who use TikTok, were getting their news and their information from TikTok, mainly TikTok, from other social media sites and Twitter, right? And they would see us on their college campuses, especially, and they would come over and speak to us. But TikTok was very influential.
Big time. I mean, people were going up to you saying you're the guy from TikTok, which
was
crazy, I think, to
CNN.
you.
I was like, wait a minute, what? CNN?
Yeah.
They're like, no, you're the TikTok guy.
And it was
today, I got out of the subway. It was like a block from my house. And it's psychological. When you get close to your house, you have to go to the bathroom. This woman was like, hey, why watch you on TikTok? Please stop. Can I have a picture? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. But anyways, that was the whole thing. I was like, I got to go to the bathroom.
Well, just out of curiosity, Don, what are the demos? What are the ages approximately of the folks who would stop you and say, you're the TikTok guy? Were they young people, as I'd expect, or is it folks who are all over the place?
Today, it was a woman, young, but of a certain age, my age or younger. Mostly it's mainly young people. And it's young people, young men and women, but mostly young men, don't you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't want to give out what your demo is on your other platforms, but
No, or like the 60-year-old on the CNN platform. No, it's no secret that the median age on CNN was like 65,
and
66.
it's crazy now to see that your demo from TikTok alone is like the 18 to 30s range.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different
That's
market.
nuts.
It's been reaching.
I have an entirely new audience since I came onto this platform. So thank you. I hope it doesn't go away. No, but a completely different audience. And also the thing is, there are creators. I mean, for me, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but there are people they get their livelihood. It is their stock and trade. TikTok, being an influencer and a creator on TikTok, it is their income, and that is going to go away. So that's why I said, Peter, I agree with Senator Ed Markey. Now, as far as his hypocrisy on the issue, or if he is, just going, where the tide is, going with the tide, or where public sentiment is, that that's his thing. But I agree. Sure. Slow your roll. Let's pump the brakes a little bit and see where this is going. Okay, let's go. So we should prioritize our TikTok folks. So Chris, will you do the honor and read some of the folks on TikTok? You can stop it, right, if you do this and get the thing. I'm 42 and I've been riding with Don since CNN early 2000s. Thank you.
Where will all the money go? Where will all these people make money then?
Birdie says, I'm 62 and I use TikTok all the time for news, shopping, political dialogues. What does that say? I don't know what that dialogues, I guess, et cetera. Go ahead. Why don't you scroll
TikTok helps me think and learn new things.
Who says it? Shout them out, whoever it is.
Don, how are you? I'm 65 and been on the ride. Thank you. Just followed you here. There's a lot of 60-year-olds.
I love TikTok. If Muskrat, oh God, I get it now.
Don't say that.
I know. If took control, I'd stop using it. That's Twinkle says. I didn't realize what they were saying.
Trump started this. Now you want him to save it?
No, I don't want. I'm joking. I don't want him to save it. I would like somebody to come in and figure out what to do. The fortunate or unfortunate thing, fortunate for you, unfortunate thing for me, is that he is the president and he does have the power to do it, I guess, in some way. So 3 more days, Lemon, Greg, I guess, until TikTok, or is it the?
I think that this is going to hurt a lot more Americans than we think right now. There's just so much money that flows in compared to the other social media apps like Instagram, Twitter, for creators.
Their monetization is better.
It's insane. Yeah. Compared to it, the TikTok shop, people are making a lot of their income from that specific feature as well.
I help them because I love TikTok shop. I buy a lot of stuff. And Chris tells me,
don't buy most of the stuff on TikTok shop isn't always.
I got to show you something I bought on TikTok shop. And
and
you're going to.
There's some hidden gems. Okay. There's some hidden gems, but typically not. And then just honestly, that flow of just the algorithm that brings people from the TikTok platform to their other platforms is unlike no other with the funnel. So,
did you see the couple? He had the guy who had on the Canada hat.
Yeah.
He's not from Canada, but he says TikTok got him and his family through COVID. It's how they connected. They would do virtual TikTok dances together and TikTok games and all kinds of things. And they would share just videos on TikTok. So he's going to be sad to see it go away because that's how he keeps in touch with his family who is not near him here in New York City. So it's interesting. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, make sure you hit the hearts, smash the screen, as they say. And you may as well now, because you never know if it's going to go away or not. There's a lot of, galaxies and gifts and stuff that you can give. You may as well do it now.
Please, we need a galaxy.
And it's some galaxies and stuff. You may as well. I just love the things. And also, if you're watching us, please hit the thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube, and make sure you like and subscribe. Can you believe our subscribers in the last month?
Insane. Incredible.
It's kind of crazy, right?
Incredible growth. Yeah.
What is it? I mean, in the last month. Oh, look.
They sent a galaxy.
Galaxy. Thank you. How do you tell who sent it? Can you tell?
No, it went past. Too quick.
Isn't it up here? I can't tell who sent it.
Oh, right here.
Is that who sent it?
I can't.
No.
Chris.
That's a diamond. It's not a galaxy, Chris. Okay. So there you go. So thank you guys for talking about that. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. And thank you, Chris. Social media dude.
Thank you for having me.
Is that it? Did you guys post any other stuff that we can get on the air? All right. Let me get back over here.
We got 1 or 2 more TikTok elements if you want to do those. Otherwise, we can move on.
What do you have? Tell me what we have, and then Andy can roll it.
We have we played her, I believe, on Tuesday of this past week, but we have the TikToker who went very viral. She got tens of millions of views talking about how the US banning the app is fascist. And then yours truly got a call out by Tim Miller and Peter Hamby on the Bulwark Pod for my response to this woman, which was not particularly nice, but I feel strongly about it.
Yeah, you said that people were losing. Yes, you said people were losing their minds over the possible ban.
Pretty
of
much.
the social media site. Okay, so you want to play her, and then we'll play your.
Just play like a minute. People will get a sense of her vibe very quickly.
All right, here it is.
Fascist countries ban apps. Fascist countries ban websites. Fascist countries ban apps and websites under the guise of threats to national security, when every other country knows it's about suppressing the free speech of its citizens. If the government believes that a single app could, quote from the hearing on the 10th, skew the perspective of American citizens to be anti-American, maybe the real problem is that American citizens are already in such a state of political unrest and unhappiness that our government is scared a single foreign influence could tip the scale and have it all be over. Don't you think that?
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, now should we play Tim Miller and those guys and Pete Hamby? All right, here it is.
My Snapchat show, Good Luck America, today, we made fun of Soupy. There's some really good Soupy dunks on Twitter. My guy, Peter Twinklage, he replied to Soupy and said, "Call me a bootlicker, but if you side with an illiterate Disney adult named Soupy over a bipartisan coalition constituting 81% of Congress, you should not be allowed to vote." Another one from a guy named...
Okay, we love Peter Twinklage, but I'm not taking anybody's suffrage rights away because they have bad takes. But we appreciate you.
Here's a better one.
Peter. To be clear, that was a joke. It's an expression that young people use online. I'm not saying she shouldn't be allowed to vote, but yes, it's a bad take, and she should do a little bit of research on what textbook fascism is.
All right, Peter. Okay, Peter. So listen, twofold. We had you on. I wanted you to come on and talk about your article. This fantastic article. Oh, there we go. Hold on.
Thank you.
Okay, listen, just so we'll get this up. And I haven't even read it. This is from Floyd Abrams, who is a First Amendment attorney.
Oh, fantastic.
I told him I wanted to get him on, but he says, here's what he says. Hold on, let me make sure that he doesn't text me so that we can come on. Okay. Floyd Abrams, who you know, I think one of the foremost First Amendment attorneys. He's Dan Abrams' dad. He says, "I think the court's opinion understates the significance of the First Amendment. It's not that there is no problem with China collecting personal information about Americans. It's that the First Amendment right of those people to choose to speak out and otherwise participate in speech on internet platforms of their choice should not be ignored," he said. That's what I think the court's opinion did today. So do you understand that?
No, it does. It makes sense.
I think the court's opinion understates the significance of the First Amendment. He's saying the First Amendment should be prioritized, and that they understate it. They should be amplifying the significance of it more. It's not that there is no problem with China collecting personal information about Americans. It is that the First Amendment right of those people to choose to speak out and otherwise participate in speech on internet platforms of their choice should not be ignored. That's what I think the court's opinion did today. Okay. What do you think?
Interesting. I mean, I'm not going to take issue with that because it's clearly his realm of expertise. I'm inclined to say that I would disagree, but yeah, I mean, this is a man who's a titan of the legal industry and is definitely a First Amendment expert.
He is.
However, I would point out that all three liberals on the court and all the rest of the conservatives disagreed with him on whether or not it is a First Amendment issue.
Okay. The reason that I'm glad, well, we had you on to talk about this because you researched it. It's something that you actually, because we were going to have Floyd Abrams on, but he was in a meeting. We couldn't get him today. Okay. So here's the thing. Let's talk about it. Peter wrote an article for The Guardian, which I agree with. And we kind of talked about it we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks on this.
Yeah, it's our editorial briefings that inspired the piece. This is what pushed me to write it.
So Peter's piece in The Guardian says it's time for Democrats to go low. And I've been very heavily influenced by Peter because he is a producer and writer on the program, the head writer and producer on the program, a head writer on the program. And Peter has been influencing my opinion on this and writing for me about it. And here's what Peter says. He says, what the 2024 election results made clear is that the Obama coalition is dead. If Democrats are to have any shot at reclaiming power, so too must the niceties and the mores of the Obama era. Okay. Yes, Democrats must get mean, ruthlessly, bitterly mean. That is not to say, however, that they need merely to cast aside the former First Lady's once famous, now infamous messaging mantra. No, what I prescribe is not just a new approach to political discourse, but a new theory of opposition party politics. Democrats need to, basically you're saying Democrats need to change their strategy. They need to start playing hardball, correct?
Absolutely. So what I
operating in 2025 rather than, I don't know, 1990s or whatever. They're too nice.
Exactly. They have been for arguably 20, 30, maybe 40 years still been pretending that Republicans operate in good faith and that they have on the other side of the aisle folks who believe in the same rules, who believe in the same values that Democrats do. And I think that, I mean, there are myriad reasons why I think that's transparently, nakedly not true. But just if you want to take one, look at January 6th and look at how quickly Republicans who on the day and in the day after condemned Trump and said this was horrific. They compared it to 9/11. They said this is one of the darkest days in American history. And then a week later, you have Kevin McCarthy flying down to Mar-a-Lago to redeem and launder Trump's reputation. And so what I argue in the piece is that Trumpism has changed American politics in so many ways. But one of the ways it's most clearly influenced us is voters now expect on both sides of the aisle their representatives to be true and proper cultural warriors for them. And to back myself up, I talk about how look at all of the rising stars on both sides of the aisle, the folks who get the most attention, the folks who raise the most money. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene on the right. It is Nancy Mace and her deranged bullying campaign against Congresswoman Sarah McBride. And I don't want to pretend that this is only a phenomenon on the right. It's also among Democrats. Don, I think we have a clip of Jasmine Crockett's famous exchange with MTG.
I think that this is when people started to, at least, well, we had known that for a while, but I think this is when maybe it opened some eyes among Democrats. Maybe it opened a lot of eyes among people in the country they were like, finally, someone is doing it. So she was representative of the culture, representative of what was happening out there in the world, but her colleagues around her, they were too close to it. You still have to be nice. You still have to be, have this decorum. And the purity test, Peter, I think is what you're speaking of, that you must be perfect. You know how I feel. I get pissed when I think about, what's his face? Al Franken all the time. And I told you the issue that I had with Kristen Gillibrand around that. It was tough for me to write her name to pencil her name here in New York City. So, okay, or in New York, I should say. Let's play Jasmine Crockett and then we'll talk. Here it is. Let's play it.
Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to strike those words.
I had no idea what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys, earlier literally just
Oh,
said
you
that.
just
voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm
No,
down.
because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceeding.
So I'm trying to get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Miss
games.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And
yelling.
you don't want me
calm
to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right,
Sorry.
Chair.
I don't know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognizes.
Here's what I love, Peter.
Yeah.
He said shit. She's talking the way that people talk. And then when a Democrat does it, people are like, oh my gosh. It's like when I said the F word the other day, everyone lost their minds. And it's like, okay, but your own president or former president does it. You don't lose your minds when he does it or when Republicans do it. Why do you lose your mind when Democrats or someone who's not a Republican or a MAGA person does it? You know what I mean? Go on. What do you want to say?
I completely do, and maybe I hope this isn't too much of a tangent. But one of the things that you and I have been talking about quite a bit in the last couple of weeks is how whether it's media, whether it's business, whether it's politics, what's increasingly clear is that authenticity, or at least perceived authenticity, is the coin of the realm. All of the media businesses, from yours and from folks at like the Bulwark, folks at like the Free Press, the reason why they're killing it right now is because they are willing to be honesty mongers. They're willing to be real with their audiences. They do not abide by partisan lines. They are willing to curse if cursing is called for.
Yeah.
And
or performative civility. Like
exactly.
Look, think about Peter.
Yes.
You and I felt a certain kind of way about Barack Obama at that funeral.
We
and
did.
you know, he's the first black president of the United States. I have nothing but respect for the man. But I was just like, what is going on here? And a lot of people were ticked off. A lot of people were side-eyeing him.
No, I agree. And I think I also get into this point in the piece. Democrats now, for either 4 months during while Harris was in the race, or for years and years and years, have been saying accurately that Donald Trump is a fascist, that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, that Donald Trump is a wannabe autocrat. And then fast forward to him winning the election and seated next to Obama at Jimmy Carter's funeral, to see Obama yucking it up with Trump, I think is pretty devastating. It does a lot of damage to the Democratic Party's brand in terms of credibility. Now, to be clear, I think that Obama was just being a stand-up guy. He did what he thought was his duty. He's a former president. Of course, you're going to be civil in that moment. But Democrats going forward need to think about the types of messages that these symbolic gestures show to voters. I know you and I, for example, really disagree somewhat with Joe Biden's decision to pardon Hunter. I understand why he did it as a father. I completely understand. And if I was in his place, I'd frankly probably do the exact same thing. But you have to be careful when, for months and months, if not years and years beforehand, explicitly stating that he would not pardon Hunter, and then doing that also hits your credibility. And the final thing I'll say, sorry, Don, I know I've been monologuing.
No, go for it.
But you and I have also talked about the fact that I think the most interesting result from the election was how many split ticket voters there were in AOC's district of New York.
We call it heterodoxy, right?
It's crazy. You know, you could not find two people who are further away from each other on the political ideological spectrum. And yet we've seen videos of voter after voter, voters of color, saying that, yeah, they voted for Trump and they voted for AOC because both of them seemed real. They coded as authentic. They talk like real people. And that is a real problem for Democrats, and that's something they need to tackle in the years to come.
Yeah. Someone, Bernie C, in the comments said this, and you know what? I want you to respond to this. Guys, wouldn't MAGA be upset that Trump was yucking it up with Obama? No, because they would just say he's kissing the ring. Even Obama has realized that Trump is a good guy, right? And look at what Trump did. That's exactly, by the way, that video, remember, which the AI video where he's talking and he goes, oh, look at, I'm paraphrasing here. Look at Kamala sitting on the front row. She was such a bad candidate. I knew she couldn't win. And Obama's like, yeah, Obama saying that, she's like, yeah, It was just so easy. It wasn't even a challenge. Basically, that's what they put out. But that's what folks would say. Obama's kissing the ring.
And that's literally what folks said. I think earlier this week we showed a soundbite of Senator Markwayne Mullin with a conservative commentator who said literally just that he loved the exchange because it was Obama submitting to Trump, that it was Obama, to use your language and Markwayne Mullin's language, kissing the ring. So yeah, you're exactly right. MAGA has no issue with this. MAGA thinks it's a surrendering to their own movement.
Here's what I love that you wrote. I think that sums up a lot of your argument. You said Democrats can either bemoan the fact that the fundamental rule of politics and discourse have changed, or they can adapt to it. In the 4 years to come, emboldened voices on the right will work to expand the Overton window, meaning what is it? That's the window of
what's acceptable to say. Yeah.
Acceptable. Democrats' reaction to this effort must not materialize as feigned or earnest injury and honor. Take the punch. Horror. Take the punch and return the favor. And that's my energy going into 2025, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is not normal. These people are freaks. This is really, really weird. I cite rather later in the piece that I think the strongest portion of the campaign for Harris and Walz, at least in terms of Democratic enthusiasm, was when they were talking about how J.D. Vance was weird and how he may or may not, he definitely did not, have relations with a couch. People loved it because finally I had this line for folks in the chat I used to write at MSNBC. And one of the lines I use far too often is that it's not that Democrats bring a knife to a gunfight. It's that Democrats have a habit of bringing a butter knife to a bazooka fight.
Peter,
and
you said about
change.
Yes, you said about 18 words, and I'm surprised that the TikTok algorithm, it must be sleeping tonight. The AI has not picked up and has not suppressed us and said, "Hey, you're saying stuff that you should not be saying." Okay, so let's place this. This is the energy that people want, not just Democrats. People who are not MAGA brain folks, I call them the MAGA brains. This is the energy that they want, the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, and also AOC at the DNC convention. Here it is.
Because we know that Donald Trump would sell this country for $1 if it meant lining his own pockets and greasing the palms of his Wall Street friends. And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life. The truth is, Don, you cannot love this country if you only fight for the wealthy and big business. To love this country is to fight for its people.
Why don't they elevate her? Why don't Democrats elevate her?
Don, you and I have also had conversations about this. Longtime viewers of the show, or not even long time, if you've been around for a month, you'll recall that Don put out a just tour de force of a monologue in late December about Nancy Pelosi, who normally is a master tactician, an adult in the room, someone who reads politics realistically. Nancy Pelosi made the decision that she was going to tank AOC's bid to be chair of the Oversight Committee. And now there are a lot of different ways to read that. Let's not psychoanalyze Pelosi. But I think that what people should be aware of is that Pelosi announced this bid. She had previously been, I believe, the ranking member, under Jamie Raskin. Raskin got a promotion, so the seat was open. And AOC announces that she's running. And then Jerry Connolly, who, by all intents and purposes, by all accounts, is a very kind man, a very good man, a good lawmaker. However, for context, he is also 74 years old. He also very sadly has throat cancer.
Throat cancer, yeah.
And I think it was a pretty remarkable fumbling of the bag for Democrats to side with a 74-year-old man over, who also I should note, is not a particularly good communicator on cable news. That I think is a pretty objective fact. over AOC, who is, I would say, the single most talented messenger that the Democrats have. Not only because she is charismatic, she presents well on screen, she's got good politics, but also because, as we noted a second ago, Don, she has cross-party appeal. You have folks who are Trump voters who think that AOC, who think AOC is great and cool and awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Democrats just need to get smarter.
Yeah, and they're so concerned because they think, well, AOC is too far to the left. She's too progressive. Okay, you can still highlight that part of your party. It's not all of the party. And she is, I mean, I think AOC, look, she's iconic. Let's just be honest. Yeah. Everybody knows who she is. Whether they like her or hate her or whatever, they will agree that she is a good messenger. A lot of folks here that I know are really upset about the whole Amazon thing that happened here. That, you know, they think that she killed it and that wasn't a smart move and that it did economic damage to the city. But look, you know, water under the bridge, whatever you think about that, she is a rising star. I don't even know it's a rising star. I believe that she and Jasmine Crockett and Maxwell Frost are the stars of the party. Also, Hakeem Jeffries. Speaking of Hakeem Jeffries, this is the energy that people want. Remember when they passed the CR, Hakeem Jeffries did not allow Republicans to get out in front of the messaging about passing a continuing resolution to keep the government open and running and able to pay its bills and its employees. This was Hakeem Jeffries after they reached that agreement on the CR.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
Do you see a world in which
this is curing it.
agreeing with the clean debt?
That was it. But afterwards, he talked about it. Sorry, I thought that was it. But that was during the negotiations. He was very strong. Again, messaging. Many people would go into that hallway, into that scrum of reporters, and they would just say, we're working on it, or just walk, as did the Democratic mayor of Los Angeles, right? Instead of having some sort of message like that when she got off that airplane and she was confronted by that reporter, she didn't have an answer. She just stood there and I was like, oh my God. So maybe she did freeze. I don't know. I mean, she ignored him, but she should have had something to say. That's the energy. Also, here's Maxwell Frost delivering a fiery speech on the floor.
Remember that I think that my first debate of this new Congress would be debating a Republican bill that empowers pedophiles and predators. They say it's about protecting women, but that's a damn lie. This bill puts all girls, all children at risk in our school systems and across this entire country. We have a bill like this in my state of Florida. And I'll tell you this quick story of a high school student who was student government president of her entire school. And now she's forced to take classes online after authorities published a 500-page report where they forced her classmates to share whether or not they have seen her naked in the locker room and seen her genitalia. Strangers, adult men, could ask girls as young as 4 years old personal questions about their body. And so my question is, they say it's about protecting girls, but for people listening at home, is it protecting girls to empower strangers to question your daughter about what's in their pants? No, it's disgusting. Is it protecting girls to empower adult men to ask your daughter to inspect what's in her pants while you're not around? No, that is pedophilia. It is predatory behavior. The hate on the other side of the aisle for trans Americans is so much so that they're willing to put all of our children, all of our daughters at risk of a serious problem in this country. So to protect our kids, we have to vote no on the Republican Child Predator Empowerment Act.
And he did not use language that everybody would find appealing. Right? He gets it. Okay, this is my favorite moment. This is my favorite moment of the week.
Okay.
And this is my favorite. It may be my favorite. Well, it's one of my favorite moments of the year. The year is young, but I would say since the election. Let's put it that way. This is Tim Kaine questioning Pete Hegseth at his confirmation hearing just a couple of days ago. Here it is.
I will allow your words to speak for them. You're not retracting that today. That's good. I assume that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you? Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, I'm not a perfect person, not claiming to be. But no, I just asked a simple question. You've taken an oath like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct? I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In finalizing divorces.
Great.
So it goes on.
Someone should have asked him his favorite proverb from the Bible. I'm sure he would have had an answer. Absolutely.
2 Corinthians. So, anyways, what's your parting words for what you wrote? What's the message? What do you want people to take away from this piece in The Guardian? Andy, put the piece back up from Peter. It's in The Guardian now, and the name of the piece is, what is the name of the piece?
It's time for Democrats to go low.
Time for Democrats to go low. When they go low, my new mantra is I go lower.
To the earth's crust, as you like to say.
To the earth's crust.
I would say the only aspect of the piece that we didn't get into is that what I prescribe, what I talk about is not just Democrats being more muscular in their messaging, not just Democrats being tougher and being mean at times. It's also adopting a far more oppositional war footing in the halls of Congress. And what I mean by that is, as we just saw with Hakeem Jeffries talking about passing a CR, Mike Johnson's going to have to do that again prior to, I believe, March 14th. Democrats should not help him. They saved him this past time. Come March or come late February when these talks are ongoing, I don't think Democrats should help Republicans. We've been doing.
Do you think they should be obstructionists as Republicans were during Obama and Biden?
Absolutely. It's funny, actually, not to shout out our friends at the Bulwark again, but Amanda Carpenter was on with Tim Miller about a week or two ago, and what she said is that Democrats should learn from the Tea Party. Democrats should adopt Tea Party tactics and be obstructionist at every turn. This presidency is going to be one of the most dangerous in American history, and we need to stop pretending like it's just another Republican, because it's totally not.
I am with you, my friend, and people get upset with me. You know how you're watching the YouTube and the algorithm takes you to certain things. So apparently someone had done something on me, and it was this group of Black folks on a panel. I think it was local news, and they did an entire panel about me saying the F word, and I'm like, okay. And that, oh my God, maybe he's ruining his chances to be in legacy media again. And I'm like, I was reading the comments. I was watching the comments as people were going. They were like, people, you have no idea where the media is going. Like, and what, I don't know. It just felt so old. It felt like that they were in a horse and buggy time when we were in an electric car era, right?
Think, folks, about what we're up against. The president-elect is a guy who refused, according to the Nixon administration, to rent apartments to Black people. He called for the Central Park Five, now the exonerated Five, to be killed in the pages of newspapers and magazines. He has said the most egregious, most harmful thing about every group imaginable. Look at his current cabinet picks. It's practically an SA circus. How many of these different folks have allegedly done horrific things to women? And the idea that because you use an F-bomb or you say something slightly untoward, or maybe you don't have the most enlightened, most politically correct take on X issue, you should be exiled from the Democratic Party. It's absolutely ridiculous. The message that we're sending to voters, but very particularly young male voters, because that's who we're talking about, right, in this conversation about saying politically incorrect things or having a bad take now and again. You have one party telling them that they can do anything and they can say anything. And you have another party, the party of Al Franken, that will chase you out for the slightest misstep. And I think that really needs to change.
Yeah, the virtue signaling and the purity test is like, and that's the one thing I will agree with Pete Hegseth on when he says, I'm not a perfect person. Nobody's a perfect person. But let me say this, Peter, you have access to the chat, right? Can you put your article on the top of the chat right now? Are you in there? Can someone pin Peter? By the way, if you guys don't know, because producer Andy is telling me that people don't know that Peter is, this is producer Peter on the show.
I'm producer Peter. Don and I chat about the news every day, multiple times.
So we'll make sure, can we put it, someone put it in the top of the link to Peter's article in the top of the chat. And also the link, pin both of them if you can, our membership, okay?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the channel? How do you feel about the channel over the past month, Peter?
We've killed it. Well, Don has killed it. Don, we've seen now close to, I think, 60,000 subscribers in just a month.
Not even a month. Well, what's today?
Crazy.
Oh, it is a month today. From the 17th to the 17th, it's been a month. Kind of crazy.
But
Producer Peter, I'm proud of you. Producer Peter is also a freelance writer who writes all the time, and we'll highlight more of your stuff. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, can I just toss on my socials if you don't mind?
Sure. We know you're Peter Twinkle or something, like Twinkler.
It's at Prothplease, PROTHPLZ on Instagram, and at Peter Twinklage, yes, on Twitter. Thank you, Don.
Peter Twinklage. Is that like Dinklage?
It's a play on Dinklage, yes, sir.
Bye, Peter. Thank you.
Bye,
I'll talk to you right after this. I'm just going to read some comments. Hello, everyone. So I don't know how to pin I guess I could, the membership link at the top, and I don't know how to pin Peter's thing at the top of the chat, but we'll make sure we put it on the community page for you. Okay, so I just want to know how you guys, so make sure you hit the thumbs up because it affects the algorithm. Make sure you hit the likes or the hearts on TikTok if you're watching us, wherever you are. Make sure you follow our content. We're not sure. There it is. That is the piece from The Guardian right there, and I think it's in my name. It's probably Peter who's there in the chat because I haven't typed it in. One of the producers, and then we'll put our after Peter's, we'll put our membership information in there. So let's hear what you have to say about all of this. Are you concerned about TikTok? Is it a thing for you? Are you going to continue to watch us on YouTube? And it doesn't matter. Are the folks from TikTok going to come over to our YouTube? You can come to our YouTube and you can subscribe. It's free. And then you get the frontal part of the show where I don't have to turn to the left or turn to the right and address the folks on TikTok. I've noticed that the engagement is better actually when we don't have it because we can simulcast it, so to speak, and or stream all of it, stream it on our main feed. But for some reason, it doesn't get the engagement because you guys sort of like the experience of me sitting here speaking to you directly. And that I guess it's just not so choreographed. Is that right? I don't know. So curated. You kind of like it. So hit the hearts, smash the screen, and who knows? Maybe I'll be saying some breaking news. Breaking news. TikTok is not going anywhere. Who knows? Okay. May Money says YouTube all day for me. Thank you, May Money. Hi, Paula. Good to see you as well. Hello, Loretta Denise. I love this community. We love you as well. So appreciate it. I'm just YouTube, says Tavar Wooten. What's on TV behind you, says search for what's on the television behind me is a live shot of Times Square. And people love it when I do this. Check it out. So if something is not in, if it's not HD or what do you call it, 16:9, you can flip it just like you do your phone. The TV, this television does the same thing my phone does. It has the same features, except I can't press the screen for some reason. I only scrolled through funny videos, says Guinevere Crop. Reese Nunn says, Don, where did Reese's go? Oh, I lost it. Reese, don't be mad at me. I lost it. It moved up in the thing. Sorry about that. Great job, Peter, says Helen P. I just want to read some of the comments because I know some of you are concerned about TikTok. Not on TikTok, so not a lot of concern for me, says Toasty Pops. I think they mostly do strange food videos and weird dances there. Not really. There's a lot of information. A lot of people get their news through TikTok. Bye, TikTok. Hello, fan base, says August de Winter. YouTube only, says Kimya Moore instead of Kenya Moore. Deborah Johnson and Tavaki Solutions. Don, you are the plug. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that you guys are helping us to build this community. Hello, welcome, a new member, Molly Duran. So glad that you're here. Keep tagged, says Lee Rhodes. TikTok, come over to YT, says Ms. Lady D. And Sanchika Porterfield, thank you for your support of independent media. Welcome to the Lemonation. We're getting a lot of new members. Welcome to the Lemonation, FM Curtis. So glad that you're a member. What is Linda saying this evening? Furker, what is your sing of the week? Ooh, Don. Oh, so I was at Union Square today, right? And there was someone that had a speaker out, and I sang. Do you have the video? I sang. Do you guys remember who? Oh gosh, what is it? You posted it? No way. Yeah. You have it? Yeah. You want me to send it to them? It's under review right now. Oh. Here, I'll drop box. No, that's okay. How long does it take to post? Are we going to get? Well, someone was playing it on the background, but it's an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. Is it still under review? Yeah, I'm Dropbox. It'll take me a minute. So they put it in Dropbox, by the way, guys. But do you guys know who's old enough? I'm going to slow down. Let's slow it down. Let's slow this party down now. If you guys are old school enough to be around in the 1970s, once upon a time, there was this group. It was called Earth, Wind, and Fire. And there was this fantastic singer who sang for Earth, Wind, and Fire. And he did it in falsetto. Do you guys, anybody know what I'm talking about? Let's see if you can guess. Give me a guess of which Earth, Wind, and Fire song that I sang. Okay? I'm going to wait until we post it so that you guys, because you guys know I love during. They have it. You guys have the link. Do you have it? Okay. So Philip Bailey, Berdine White is Who's a Friend. Philip Bailey is there. Ralph Johnson. Philip Bailey is the one who does the falsetto. Do you guys have any? It was a major hit of the 19th. Oh, let's see. Oh, some of you got it already. Some of you got it already. Let's see who got it. Let me know when it's in there. You guys are fast. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to go back to see who got it. Was it Reason, says Guinevere Crop? Yes. Sharon Culpepper? Yes. It was Reasons. How did Sheldon Johnson, who's even not, I think may have been one of the first people, I think it was the first person to say it, and not a member. Sheldon, why aren't you a member? And they were playing this song, and that was one of my favorite songs. It's actually a song I can sing. For some reason, I got a really good falsetto voice. You guys guessed it. Andy Pendy 27 got it. Y Jackson 59 got it. Renee Hutchins got it. Deborah Johnson and Sovaki Solutions got it. Sharon Culpepper, the reasons that we're here, the reasons that we feel.
I have the clip done if you want it.
Okay, here we go. Let's play it. This is me. I'm just impromptu.
Oh, I'm not, though. What do you think about it's being banned? What do you think? I can care less. I've never been on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah. So if I was to be making money and if I was to have notoriety, I'd be pissed as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. Like those influencers should raise hell. But for me, I don't care.
Do you know this song?
This song that's playing?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
What
is happening?
Temperatures rising.
What is
I
this?
don't wanna feel. I'm in the wrong place to be real.
Yeah, you really singing right
to hold you just for a night.
Thank you.
Kissing and hugging and holding me tight.
What are y'all doing out here? What is this?
With all my might. Wait a minute, this is my part. Reasons, the reasons that we're here, the reasons that we feel, the feelings that won't. He turned it off. Disappear.
Do you guys think I'm nuts? Oh, I love to have a good time. Oh my gosh, Reasons. I'm going to have you guys singing Reasons all weekend. Did I kill it? Did I kill it? So tonight, I am not going to karaoke. Tim and I are going to go discoing. We're going discoing tonight. But first, we're going to, our friend invited us to Shabbat dinner, and then we're going discoing tonight. We're going to disco dance. We're going to put on some silky shirts and some bell bottoms, and I'm going to pick out my fro since my hair is growing, and I'm going to go disco. And how did I do, guys? Did I do okay? Yes, fun. Look, here's the thing. Let me be serious with you. We have to start having fun. We've got to get back into being with our family and supporting and loving each other. And because we're in for some crazy times, and that will get us through. That's why I tell people, you're going to be okay. You can be informed without being inundated. So pay attention to what you need to pay attention to, and the rest of it, let it roll off your back or off your shoulder. So I think I did a pretty good job. I love it, right? That was Earth, Wind, and Fire. What year was Reasons? It was probably, what was it, like 70? When was Reasons? 70 what? 374? 75. Released it. See, I'm good. 1975. Reasons that we're here. 1975, Francis, not 76. It was released in 75. And we used to drive around in our 1976 L-Dog Cadillac and listen to Reasons. Did we have an 8-track or a cassette? We may have had an 8-track in that car. I'm not sure. 8-track or a cassette. But it had that fancy Cadillac surround sound or whatever it was. They called it the Baritz Eldorado 1976. Taking y'all back with a Landau roof and the 2 giant doors. 2 doors. It was a 2-door. Door was so big that it could be 2 doors. You guys remember that? Okay, guys. L-Dog, Eldorado Cadillac. It was steel gray with a steel gray top, and then that steel gray top, the sun got to it, and I think they changed the top to the color of the burgundy interior, which was inside. And then that was the first car that I drove to high school in 1981. 1980. Is it 80 or 81? Anyways. Yeah. It was a city block long. Okay, y'all. Thank you. I love you. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll give you updates on what we're going to do on Monday, and I'll give you updates this weekend. But we're going to have a stream this weekend. We're going to have some fun stuff, so make sure you tune in. It may just be fun. Maybe we'll have a karaoke night. Maybe we'll do it just for our members. We'll do a members-only stream where we can really let our hair down and put on our sweatpants and have a good time, have a couple cocktails or whatever it is we want to do. Okay? Cassette, I think, 76, someone's saying. All right, y'all. Bye. I love you. Have a fantastic weekend. Go out and enjoy your Friday night, or stay home and watch a movie or have some popcorn, or but spend time with your loved ones. Okay? See ya. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.